Well, hello again. It's me, and it's time for another math lesson. This time we're doing lesson 124 on pages 229 and 230 of your math book. So if you look on page 229, we're going to work some of these problems together. Now, just a reminder, we're going to be doing a lot of review today. The very end of the lesson, we're going to add one new step. It's something that you've practiced and you've done before, but we're going to apply it to this situation. So let's go. We're going to use the multiplication addition principle to solve these problems. Look at the sample problem at the top of page 229. 42 times 38. The first thing we want to do is separate a factor into two parts. And as we've been doing already, we're going to take the second factor, the 38, and we're going to split it into 30 plus 8. So part of the product, the partial product, would be 8 times 42 and 30 times 42. Now it's time to multiply to find those partial products. 8 times 42 is 336. Remember, when you're multiplying, 8 times 2 is 16. That's why we put the 1 over top of the 4. That's in the tens place. And 8 times 4 is 32. We add that 1 to it and we get 33. Next, we want to multiply 30 times 42, and we learned how to do this just a few lessons ago. So we take 3 times 42, and we get 126. We annex the 0, 1,260. Or, if you're having trouble doing that in your head, you can say, okay, so 30 times 2 is 60, and 30 times 4 is 12, and there you get your 1,260. The next step is to add the partial products. So let's do that. Remember to start at the ones place. 6 plus 0 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 3 plus 2 is 5. And 1. 1,596. So that's the sample problem. Now let's start with number 1. 29 times 50. Well, we do want to separate one of the factors into two parts. That would be the 50. So one of the partial products would be 0 times 29, and the second one would be 50 times 29. So let's multiply those to find the partial products. 0 times 29 is 0. 5 times 9 is 45, and you see we have the 4 up above. 5 times 2 is 10. Add 4 more and we get the 14, so 1,450. Now let's add the partial products together. 0 and 0 is 0. 0 and 5 is 5. And then 4 and 0 and 1 and 0. Our answer would be 1,450. Are you getting it? I hope so. Remember, you can stop the video anytime and rewind it, go back, and figure out what's going on if you disagree with something that's happening here. All right, so let's try number 2. 14 times 28. The first step, we want to separate a factor into two parts. That would be the 28. So 8 times 14 and 20 times 14. If we multiply those out, 14 times 8, we get 112. 20 times 14, we get 280. Then we want to add the partial products. And when we do that, we get 392. Are you working these out on your paper as we go? All right, let's try number 3. Number 3, 35 times 89. Again, the first step, separate a factor into 2 parts. So 9 times 35, 80 times 35. Then we multiply to find the partial products. 9 times 35 is 315. 80 times 35, 2,800. Then we add those partial products together to get the final answer. And the final answer is 3,115. Let's do one more together. Number 4. 32 times 66. So once again, separate a factor into 2 parts. Partial product 6 times 32 and 60 times 32. Now we want to multiply to find the partial products. 6 times 32 is 192. 60 times 32, 1,920. And if we add those partial products together, we get 2,112. Now, numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. I want you to do those on your own. And I will be showing you the answers in just a moment. But right now, you need to pause your video before it goes too much farther and work out those 4 problems on your own to see if you're getting this. And then, after you are finished working out all 4 problems, you can restart the video and see if you got them correct. Well, here you go. Here are the answers for numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can pause the video to check your work. If you're still having trouble with these problems, you should probably get a scrap of paper and practice numbers 9 through 14 on that scrap paper. You can contact me to check your answers, and if you're having any additional troubles, you can let me know. Otherwise, if everything is going really well, let's move on. This is where we're going to add the new step. Now, it's something that you've already learned before, but we're going to be applying it to multiplying 2-digit by 2-digit factors. Number 15 on your page is a word problem. It says, together, 3 boys set 27 rows of 52 plates on the long tables for the international banquet. About how many people will be eating at the banquet? Well, we can multiply that out because we have 27 rows, 52 in each row. So that would be a multiplication problem, 27 times 52. And we want to know the total number, so that's another clue that it's a multiplication problem. But there's a key word in here. It says about. They're not asking you for an exact number. That's where estimation comes in. Now, we did this way back in the fall, so hopefully you can pull this out of the archives of your brain and remember what we talked about. Let's look at that problem again using estimation. Well, 27 comes between 20 and 30, but the 7 tells us that it's closer to 30. So we're going to round 27 up to 30. 52 comes between 50 and 60, but that 2 in the ones place tells us that it's closer to 50 than to 60. So we're going to round it to 60. I'm sorry, to 50. Now we're ready to multiply. Remember what we talked about a few days ago? Let's take the non-zero digits and multiply them together. 3 times 5 is 15. And if we annex the zeros, we get 1,500. Now, we don't want to forget to label. So on your paper, there's a little box at the bottom, and you need to write the entire equation, including the label. 30 times 50 equals 1,500. And the question said how many people? So people will be our label. That was pretty simple. See, we're putting all kinds of things that we've learned already this year together to solve these problems. Let's try another one. Number 16. The Great Seafood Company workers boxed an order of 42 cans of tuna at 10 o'clock a.m. They also boxed an order of 87 cans of salmon at 10:15 a.m. About how many cans of fish were boxed in the two orders? Well, again, they're asking us for a number, and they want a total number, but this time they've given us two groups, and they want to know the total of the two groups. So we would have to add to solve this problem. However, there's that word again, about. They don't want us to solve it exactly. They want to have a rough idea of about how many cans of fish were boxed from these two different orders. So we look at the 42. Again, 42 comes between 40 and 50, but the 2 tells us it's closer to the 40, so we're going to round that one to 40. 87 comes between 80 and 90. However, the 7 tells us that it's closer to 90, so we're going to round that one to 90. Now we're ready to add to find our estimate. 40 plus 90 is equal to 1,300. Now let's write our answer as an equation in the box provided. 40 plus 90, that should be a plus sign, sorry about that, is equal to 1,300 cans. And we did remember to label it. The question was about how many cans, so cans is our label. So now it's your turn to practice the problems on the back side of this paper. Hope you're catching on. We're going to continue to practice this very important skill for a few more lessons so that you can get really good at it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me and we can work them out together. Take care, Black Bear. Goodbye.